So today what I'm gonna cover is like just an overview about life cycle and overview of my IAM. So
Right.
basically IAM is what you have been said, like providing right access to the right M and to the right individual. This is what IAM defines. So let me like start. Before starting off, let me like introduce myself. I'm Natasha. I have like literally 5 years of experience in working with identity and access management. I work with banks like Royal Bank of Scotland and Standard Chartered Bank. Like all these 5 years, I was working with identity and access management. I handle a few projects and I have handled life cycles of IAM, like from creating identities from the start and up to like exiting of the users, like until the termination. I have handled all the parts of IAM. So let me start. And if this is my first PPT presentation, and if you guys found anything, please let me know. I will correct it from next time. Okay. So okay. So what is IAM? So IAM is information security discipline which manages user and device of all organizations. So when I say users and devices, it not only mentions about employees that is currently working with the organization, it also means to all the users, employees, contractors, agents, whoever that is being that related to our network. We will have an access track of or all the for all those that is being concerned to our network. So the types of identity access management is user access management. So user access management is meant to all the users. So it compromises of from user joins, and there is also a process called JML. Okay, to be very nice. So JML is that when a user joins and JML is joiners mover lever process. So once a user joined, we will be creating an identity for him. So once the identity has been created, further he will proceed what are the access he needs to raise it for his daily BAU, and then it proceeds as like that. So after user access management, it is identity governance and administration. So it is a second part of identity access management. So which governs all the reporting access, recertification, reconciliation. Let me see about all these in the further coming slides. And here I have different categorization like privileged access management and privileged identity management. So what is privileged access management? So it is like whereas the user access management is for all the users, like privileged access management is for the users who have like privileged access. For example, there are IDs which have root access and service accounts. There are like many accounts we will be using as part of our of- as part of our work. Like few doesn't have to be have all the elevated privileges. The accounts which has all the elevated privileges will be categorized as privileged access management, and those accounts will be considered as privileged identity management accounts. Okay. And customer identity and access management is which is currently evolving, so which is completely compromises of all the identities and the access that is the customer holds. And it is all about how the experiences that we give to our customers to enrich their experiences in means of UI or whatever the process they are being associated with our practices. So the key terms and protocols. So these are the things which we will be using on the daily basis, and which we will be like these are the primary things which we have to know. So identity, which refers if an user joins. For an example, if I join an organization, they will be creating an identity for me. The identity has to be unique. Once an identity has been assigned to me, it should not be assigned to anyone in the organization. It has to be unique. So why it have to be unique? It is like only if it is unique, it is easy for us to track from what is from the start date to end date. So whatever he is doing, all those will be tracked based on his identity. Like for say example, your email address will be unique to only yourself. So an associated thing uh, will be associated with your email address. So with the help of that, we will be tracking all the actions, activities that whatever you've been doing. And access. So access is what about what you are entitled to. Access differs for each user based upon the roles, their department, and what they are entitled to do. And entitlements are nothing but the collection of access rights. To be elaborate, few have access to certain resources and few have access to different resources. Uh, like if a manager have access to manage his team, and he also access to take reports and other KPI related stuff, whether the users or the reportees only have access to do his business alone. And provisioning is the part where we will be providing the access based upon the access control list, and we have certain kind of access control list. I will explain it on the other slides. Identity management. So identity management is nothing but, as I said earlier, we will be creating an identity and how we are maintaining it from the start to the end. So what are the changes that is being have been done with that identity? Any kind of different, like any changes to the identity in means of roles, in means of access or permissions, we all will be tracked under identity management. And enforcement is that we are enforcing like access rights to certain individuals based upon their roles and departments. So deprovisioning is if a user is being moved to from a department to further department or any other department, his current access has to be revoked based upon the new team, whether the new team will still need that previous access. If that is meant to be uh, required, we will keep the access. If not, we will be revoking the previous access. And if an employee is being terminated from an organization, or he is relieving from an organization, all his access has to be deprovisioned. So we have like certain workflows for that. Certain request will be raised. So based upon that, we will be processing our deprovisioning. And so these are the like protocols we will be using on our daily basis. So single sign-on. Uh, have you heard of all this earlier, or these are new to us, new to you? If you heard
We are,
earlier,
I guess,
yeah,
we are familiar. Like, we had gone into it before, in the weeks before. Yes.
okay. So if you have any doubts with any of these protocols, please reach me out. I will help you out clearing all your doubts, like explaining it and how it works, so how it has to be configured and how it will be integrated and all. Okay, okay.
Sure, sure. We'll
So
do.
sure, thank you. And so, what is our objective for like identity and access management? You might have heard about a CAA triad in cybersecurity. Yeah. So it's
Yes, yes.
nothing but confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So this is our major objective, which we have to follow up, and we have like we are whatever the action that we are taking up, we should be aware that all these are in compliance, and all the policies that we are making it up account, or accordance with CIA. Okay, so confidentiality is nothing but only the required people have to view the certain resources. If I am authorized, like if I have the access to view that resources, only I am will be allowed to view that resources. Other than me, no one else should have the permissions or should have the access to view that. So integrity is nothing but whether the data is being in means of transit or in means of sending it to others, the data should not be interrupted. It should be in the state by how it is being sent. Okay, and availability. It should be available all the time whenever we require the things to be done. Like if it is means of any report, it has to be available for us whenever we require. Like while we are getting into it, it should not be the report should not be tampered, or it should not be unavailable. It should be available whenever we require. Okay. And the principles of identity access management is basically revolves around authentication, authorization, and accounting. So before authentication, it should be identification. So you should be letting the system know what you are. Like you should let your identity know to verify whether it is you or not. So after it is verifying it is you, you should be authenticated. So what it is authentication? After verifying it is you who will be going to use that, you have a certain unique password, or any phrase space which you have, and some kind of multi-factor authentication or any biometric authentication. All this falls under authentication. So every organization should have a proper mechanism for authentication. So once a user has been identified, he have to as I mentioned here, a password or any OTP from his cell phone or any authenticated apps or any biometrics. So once he is authenticated, he have to authorize, he need to have the necessary permission to access the resource what he is eligible to. So once it is authorized, it will be checking for the access rights. So whether am I have the access and permissions to use that resource or not. After that, it will be on accounting phase. So what it is accounting? Accounting is that once I am being authorized for whatever the changes I do on that platform or the resources and any changes, whatever I do, I will be accountable for that. This is called as AAA, as like authentication, authorization, and accounting. Okay. Okay. This is the standard workflow. How an IAM analyst will be worked on daily day-to-day basis. So once an user joins or if I require any access, what I have to do is that I have to raise a ticket. We have like certain ticketing tools. For example, some familiar ticketing tools like BMC Remedy, ServiceNow, Jira. So these are the ticketing tools which a user will raise a request. So once it has been raised and it has been submitted, it will be go for its manager approval. Once manager verify and approves it, a ticket will be created and it will be assigned. And based upon if the user already has an identity, we look after for the access controls. If the user doesn't have any identity, we have to look up for how to create an identity. We have a set of instructions for that. Each organization follows different entitlements or rules for creating an identity. We will follow and create an identity based upon once the identity has been created, we proceed further for the access control for the provisioning. So access control. When I say access control, we have different kind of access controls. Each organization uses different kind of access controls based upon their needs and the requirement they whatever. So the types of access control are as follows. The mandatory access control. So this is majorly used in top military based like very confidential things. Governments use mandatory access controls and discretionary access control. This is limited for any restrictions based upon the identities and the subjects of identities, what they use, and it is majorly used for the small size organizations and the organization where they don't have like familiarity with like multiple servers and multiple devices, so they can manage using this. And rule-based access control, it is kind of like thing which works upon a rule. For example, like you may be aware of the conditions which we use in programming. So if a condition A meets, it will be proceed further. If not, it will be terminated in the first half itself, right? So it works upon that. Like the rules will be pre-configured and it will be already preset uh, uh, all while the configuration of the workflow itself. So if an user is being entitled, and so basically rule-based access control works majorly by automating the configuration. So and if a user already raised a request, it will be automated and it will went for his manager approval. Once it has been approved from his manager, it will the workflow will trigger the provisioning. So it will check for the rules, whether the user have all the predefined rules has been met. If it is met, the provisioning will be done. If not, it will be terminated in the first half itself. Physical access control. So physical access control is meant for of the ID card what you have. Like it is an access pertaining to any rooms which you are entitled to, any ODC or any server rooms. All these will be tagged to your ID cards and access cards. So all these meant as physical access controls. So all those access will be tagged to your ID cards, or we also have access cards. So access card will have all these access and role-based access control. This is the majority used access control in many organizations. It works based on the roles. It have like a specific roles, each role for each department, and not only each role. If it is, if you have taken example for a department, the department might have 10 to 12 roles. Each role will have different permissions and sets of other permissions as well. So and What we have to be have in mind while working with role-based access control is that segregation of duties. So what is that? Segregation of duty is that roles should not be complicated or integrated with the other roles. Like if I have read-only access, I should only have read access. I should not have the role for write access. Okay. So if there is any conflict or with the roles, it will be categorized under segregation of duties. And attributes based access control, it will be based upon the user attributes and object that user holds. Based upon that, it will be the access will be determined. And policy based access controls. So when I say policy based, the predefined policies will be already set in the initial stages. Like to say an example, like group policy object. Have you been heard about GPOs? So if a certain condition has been met, the GP will start. Okay, so if a group policy object, if it has to be done, like carried out, it will carry all the patches to all the systems, whichever is being configured. As like that, the policy-based access control will work. So back to this. Okay, so as, based on the access control, the provisioning will be taken care and it will be provided. So after provisioning, we will be what we will be doing is auditing. So once it has been provisioned, we will just not leave the user and his access as it is. We have to re-verify the access, like which is called as reconciliation, and access review and certification and reconciliation will be taken place after provisioning has been done. Okay, if an user has been provisioned access, his all his access will be rechecked after an interval of 3 months or 6 months based upon the organization framework. So what at that time what we'll be doing is we will be having the original request of the user access. We will be cross verifying with his current access whether the user already have all the current like required access as per his original request or not. If he is not having the access or if he has any additional access, we will be getting touch with the user line manager by triggering a notification of email or request whether that employee still need that access or not. If until that we hear a confirmation from the users managers, we will be having that user access on hold. If it is a green flag that yes, that the user will need that access going forward, we will be keeping that access. If not, we will be revoking all their access, because after 6 months the user may be with that project or not, he may need that access or not. So it has to be renovated every now and then. Okay, and auditing, it's not only about the accounts, it already about the reports. So report, what I mean in the sense, so whatever the tickets that we handle, so on how we handle, what are the resolution that has been provided to each tickets, and how can be it can be made how we can make that better, and all these will be comes under auditing. And as I said, a remediation and reconciliation will be taken care every 6 months. And after that, deprovisioning. So as I said earlier, deprovisioning will be done after if an user is being moving from a different team or department to any other team or department, or if a user is exiting from the current organization, we will be taking care of the deprovisioning and all his access will be revoked. So okay, this is what we majorly use and we handle. So life cycle of identity access management. So once the idea has been created and we went for provisioning, like and authentication. So when a user log into a system, like it verifies its identity and it authenticates based on single sign-on or whatever the protocol that is being configured with that system, and then it is authorized to whether, and it checks whether the user has the necessary access the rights to have that resources. And self-service. So what it means by self-service is that as we handle like the banks will have or the any organization will have like majority of application, and few will be password authentication and few will be self-service. So what I meant by self-service is that we will be creating an self-service portal where the user will have access to reset passwords of their own by for any few applications or their Windows credentials. Like these are the like primary things which has to be taken care for while setting up the life cycle of the identities and any application. And password. password management. So like we'll be having like certain rules for password, like what is that? Okay, like these are the rules which we have to be taken in mind before setting like any framing any password policies or anything like that. So these are the rules. Like the password should have a minimum of 8 to 10 characters, and it should at least have one uppercase and lowercase, and with any special characters. And it should not be any dictionary or frequently used words like date of birth or any name of any place or any person. Okay, and the password should be rotated once in every 90 days. So it is a standard process which is many organizations are being followed up. And if it is for privileged accounts, or like as I said earlier, the accounts which have like super privileges or root privileges, it should be rotated every 30 days. Okay. And then governance, as I said earlier, like we have like IAM will have like a separate team for governance, like governance, risk, and compliance. So what they will do is they will be checking all the like whether all the process is in line with the standards that is being followed up with other organization. The like we have some certain frameworks and policies like ITIL and other policies as well. I'm not completely remembered of it. So what they will do is that they will check off all the policies and frameworks whether all it meant on all are compliant enough as per the regulatory requirements. And deprovisioning, as I said earlier, like which will be an end of the identity. All the identity like on its associated will be checked, and it will be revoked. So these are the life cycle. So one, for the initial stage, access request will be triggered by the user or by his manager. After its approval, we will be provisioning with the access and access enforcement based upon the access, and reporting and auditing and review certification, access review and certification. And once in 6 months, we will take care of the access reconciliation. And in the final phase, which will be deprovisioning. So I just explained about access enforcement and access review and certification, and what it is, what access reconciliation is meant to be, and what I have also what types of access control. Okay. Okay. So while granting access, like before access provisioning, what we have to look after is principle of least privilege and need to know. So why is this? Because we can't grant access. So whatever the user requires, or whatever, because he may be aware or he may not be aware of whatever the access he need to do his business or not. So we will be at the initial stage, we will be providing access uh, only what he is meant to do, like access what he is required to do his daily day-to-day task. Like because if there is any excessive and unnecessary access the user will have, it should be creating any complications and with regards to access or the policies. And need to know is based on the least amount of information the user is like needs to see or share to perform his complete BEO for this day. And if any user is being provided with access like adding to his like current access, which it will be in breach of the principle of least privilege. So this is a principle which we have to be aware while provisioning of access. So this is the first thing which we will be taking care while going further with the provisioning. Actually, like I just made a very short PPT, just letting you know about how a life cycle works, or how an identity being created, and how an IAM analyst day-to-day job would be. IAM is kind of it's a process which it can't be like you learn that in a day or two or in a month. You have to work with that. You have to explore, because there are many errors or different kind of scenarios you will be facing work or while working with the clients or different tools. So you have I what I can suggest is that get your hands into it and let me know whatever the doubts you have.